Your legs are losing strength right now. Most people don't notice until it's too late. The Journal of Gerontology published findings in 2025 showing adults over 60 lose up to 3% of leg muscle strength every single year. 3%. Gone. Silently. And here's what almost no doctor tells you. Legs weaken 2 to 3 full years before your arms or upper body show any sign of decline. Then, on an ordinary Tuesday, you reach for a stair rail you never needed before. You don't think much of it. You tell yourself it was just a long day, but your body already knows something you don't. This isn't just aging, it's a specific condition called sarcopenia. It's measurable, it's documented, but it is also stoppable. 5 common foods have been shown in clinical research to reverse measurable leg muscle loss in as little as 8 weeks in adults over 60. The science is clear, most people just haven't heard it yet. Sarcopenia doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with pain or a diagnosis or a dramatic moment. It begins quietly, deep inside the muscle fibers of your quadriceps and calves, the 2 muscle groups in your body with the highest metabolic demand. They need more nutrients, more protein synthesis, more cellular repair than almost any other tissue you have. And after 60, the body's ability to deliver all of that drops sharply. Not gradually, sharply. The difference between 45 and 65 is not a gentle slope. It is a cliff with a very gradual approach and a sudden edge. Here's why the legs go first. Your quadriceps, the large muscles running down the front of your thighs, are responsible for every sit-to-stand movement, every stair, every step off a curb. Your calves drive forward propulsion. Together, they carry your entire body weight through every waking hour. When muscle protein synthesis declines with age, these high-demand muscles feel the deficit before your biceps or shoulders ever do. The legs are the canary in the coal mine, and by the time the canary stops singing, the damage has already been building for years, not months, years. Years of quiet, invisible erosion that most people mistake for normal aging until the morning they realize they are gripping the bathroom counter to stand up straight. Dr. Elena Volpe, a researcher at the University of Texas Medical Branch who has spent decades studying age-related muscle loss, has been direct about this. She has stated that targeted nutrition can counteract sarcopenic decline at the cellular level, not slow it slightly, but actively counteract it. That distinction matters. It means the food choices you make starting now have a measurable biological effect on the muscles keeping you upright and mobile, not next decade, now. The consequences of ignoring this are severe. Lower body muscle decline is directly linked to increased fall risk, loss of independent living, and progressive mobility loss. Falls are the leading cause of injury-related death in adults over 65 in the United States. Most of those falls trace back to leg weakness that built silently over years. Years during which the right foods could have been doing something entirely different inside those muscle fibers. Years during which the body was sending signals that nobody was trained to read. The catalyst is always the same. Not one bad meal, not one skipped walk. It's the slow accumulation of the wrong nutritional environment, repeated daily, until the deficit becomes visible, until the stairs become a problem, until getting out of a chair requires a hand on the armrest, until the walk from the parking lot to the grocery store entrance feels longer than it used to. You pause at the bottom of the steps and you breathe. You tell yourself it's the weather, or the shoes, or the fact that you didn't sleep well. But the body is not confused about what is happening. By that point, the process has been running for years. But here's what the research now confirms. It is not irreversible. Not yet. Nobody was paying attention to eggs back then. For decades, they had been caught in a nutritional crossfire, vilified for cholesterol, then partially rehabilitated, then debated again. That was about to change. The year is 2026. A study published in the journal Nutrients examines a specific group of adults over 60. Researchers are not looking at general protein intake. They are looking at something far more precise, leucine, a single amino acid, the one that functions as the biological trigger for muscle repair. And when the data comes back, it is unambiguous. Daily consumption of leucine-rich whole foods reverses measurable leg muscle loss in just 8 weeks. 8 weeks. in adults who had already crossed 60. The implications are significant. The mechanism is even more so. Leucine is not like other amino acids. It does not simply contribute raw material to muscle tissue. It activates a specific molecular pathway called mTOR, the mechanistic target of rapamycin. Think of mTOR as the body's primary construction foreman. It receives the leucine signal and issues the order to begin muscle protein synthesis. Without sufficient leucine, that foreman never gets the call. The construction crew sits idle. Muscle tissue continues to break down faster than it is rebuilt. That is sarcopenia at the cellular level, playing out in real time inside your quadriceps and calves, every hour, every day, without a single symptom you can point to and name. The richest whole food source of leucine on the planet is sitting in your refrigerator right now: the egg. 2 whole eggs per day delivers the optimal leucine dose for adults over 60, enough to activate the mTOR pathway without excess calories that could create other metabolic problems. That balance matters enormously for older adults managing weight, blood sugar, and cardiovascular health simultaneously. 2 eggs. That is the threshold the research points to. Not 4, not 1, 2. But the leucine story is only part of what makes eggs uniquely powerful for leg muscle health after 60. The yolk, the part that spent years being discarded in the name of heart health, contains 2 additional nutrients that are critical for the nerve-to-muscle communication system in your lower body. The first is vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency is epidemic in adults over 60, and its consequences extend far beyond bone density. Vitamin D receptors are present in muscle tissue itself. When levels are low, the neuromuscular junction, the connection point between nerve signals and muscle fiber activation, becomes less efficient. Your legs receive the signal to move, but the execution is degraded. The signal arrives late. The fibers respond slowly. The movement feels harder than it should. You push off a step and something in the effort feels heavier than the step deserves. You shift your weight to the banister without deciding to. That is not imagination. That is degraded neuromuscular efficiency expressing itself in real time, in your body, on an ordinary afternoon. The second nutrient in the yolk is vitamin B12. B12 is essential for myelin, the protective sheath surrounding nerve fibers. As myelin degrades with age and B12 deficiency, nerve conduction slows. The legs, with their long peripheral nerve pathways running from the lumbar spine all the way down to the feet, are among the first places that slowdown becomes functionally noticeable. A stumble on a flat surface, a foot that drags slightly on carpet, a reaction that arrives a fraction of a second too late. These are not random events. They are the downstream consequences of a nutrient deficit that started years earlier and was never addressed. Decades of telling people to throw away the yolk, and it turns out the yolk was doing the heavy lifting the whole time. So what does the daily picture actually look like? 2 whole eggs in the morning, not egg whites, not a substitute, whole eggs, provides leucine sufficient to trigger mTOR activation, vitamin D to support neuromuscular efficiency, and B12 to maintain the nerve pathways that tell your leg muscles to fire. The caloric cost is approximately 140 to 150 calories. The protein yield is around 12 grams of complete, highly bioavailable protein. For an older adult whose muscle protein synthesis is already running at a deficit, that morning meal is not breakfast. It is a targeted intervention. The difference between those 2 framings is not semantic. It changes what you do next. The 2026 nutrient study did not find these results in participants who were doing aggressive resistance training or following complex supplementation protocols. These were ordinary adults over 60 eating leucine-rich foods consistently. The variable was the food. The outcome was measurable reversal of leg muscle loss. If that sounds almost too simple, keep watching. The clock was already ticking. The muscle tissue in your legs just couldn't hear it yet. Eggs alone shifted the biological trajectory in 8 weeks. But this wasn't just about eggs anymore. The question researchers began asking next was whether other common foods could amplify the effect, targeting not just muscle protein synthesis, but the inflammation, the blood flow, and the cellular damage that were accelerating the loss in the first place. The answer came from a laboratory at Harvard. and it changed the conversation entirely. The year is 2025. Researchers are sitting on data that is about to rewrite what doctors tell every patient over 60 about muscle loss. The stakes are not abstract. They are measured in falls, in fractures, in the slow erosion of independence. In the moment someone realizes they can no longer carry their own groceries up a flight of stairs. In the pause before sitting down in a low chair, the hand that reaches for the wall, the hesitation at the top of a staircase that wasn't there 5 years ago. The study began with a simple question. If inflammation is quietly destroying leg muscle in aging adults, what happens when you give the body a direct weapon against it? They already knew about leucine. They already knew about protein synthesis. But here's the detail that everyone missed at the time. The muscle wasn't just failing to build, it was being actively dismantled by inflammation, by oxidative stress, by a process so gradual that most people never felt it happening until the damage was already done. The body was losing a war it didn't know it was fighting. Enter salmon. Not as a health food trend, not as something a wellness influencer recommends between smoothie recipes. As a pharmacological grade source of two specific compounds, EPA and DHA, eicosapentaenoic acid and docosahexaenoic acid, omega-3 fatty acids that do something no amount of protein alone can accomplish. They go directly after the inflammation. They interrupt the process at its source. Here is what the researchers found. Chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the most underestimated drivers of sarcopenia. Most seniors don't know it's happening. Their doctors rarely test for it specifically. The body's inflammatory markers creep upward year after 60, and the muscles in the legs, the quadriceps, the hamstrings, the calves begin to break down faster than they can be rebuilt. You'd think someone would have said something. Nobody did. Not loudly enough. Not in the way that reaches the people sitting at kitchen tables wondering why the stairs feel harder than they used to. But the Harvard Aging Study, published in 2025, said it clearly. Omega-3 fatty acids combined with vitamin E were linked to 25% faster lower body strength recovery in adults over 60. 25%. That is not a marginal improvement. That is the difference between someone who regains function after a setback and someone who doesn't. That is the difference between a person who stays mobile into their 70s and one who starts needing assistance a decade earlier than necessary. The mechanism matters. EPA and DHA don't just reduce inflammation passively. They actively intervene in the inflammatory signaling cascade, the biological chain reaction that, left unchecked, keeps leg muscle tissue in a constant low-level state of damage. Picture the muscle fibers in your quadriceps as a construction site that is perpetually being vandalized overnight. The workers arrive each morning and begin rebuilding, but by the time they finish for the day, the damage has already started again. EPA and DHA are the security system. They interrupt the vandalism. When that cascade is interrupted, something remarkable happens. The muscle repair process can actually complete itself. Protein synthesis, the work that leucine starts, has a chance to finish. The construction crew stops being sabotaged. The foreman can finally see the job through. There is a second mechanism. Omega-3s improve blood flow to muscle tissue. They increase the flexibility of red blood cell membranes, allowing them to navigate the smallest capillaries, the microscopic vessels threading through leg muscle, more efficiently. More blood flow means more oxygen delivered, more nutrients arriving at the site of repair, faster recovery, stronger contractions. The leg muscles don't just stop deteriorating, they begin measurably to improve. The clinical evidence behind wild salmon specifically is striking. 2 to 3 servings per week, roughly 3 to 4 ounces per serving of wild-caught salmon, has been shown in multiple studies to produce measurable improvements in lower body strength in adults over 60. Not theoretical improvements, measurable ones, tested on leg press machines, tracked over weeks and months, documented in peer-reviewed journals that didn't make the evening news but absolutely should have. In time, every person who dismissed salmon as optional rather than essential would understand exactly what this meant. They would understand it in the way that most medical truths are eventually understood. Not in a laboratory, but in a doctor's office, or a physical therapy room, or a hospital corridor. The body keeps score. It always does. Wild salmon versus farmed salmon matters here. Wild-caught salmon contains significantly higher concentrations of EPA and DHA than farmed alternatives. The difference comes down to diet. Wild salmon eat smaller fish and krill, which are naturally high in omega-3s. Farmed salmon eat processed feed with lower omega-3 density. When the label says wild-caught Alaskan or sockeye salmon, the omega-3 content can be 2 to 3 times higher per serving. This is not a premium you're paying for taste. It is a premium you're paying for the actual therapeutic compound that makes the food work. 2 to 3 servings per week. That is the threshold where the research consistently shows benefit. Below that, the effect is present but modest. At that level and above, the data becomes compelling. Grilled, baked, poached, the preparation matters less than the consistency. The body doesn't need a perfect meal. It needs reliable supply. It needs to know the weapon is coming. Up to this point, inflammation had been winning, had been silently in control, had been dismantling leg muscle in millions of people over 60 without a single symptom they could point to and name. That was about to flip. There's a reason this next part of the story is still talked about today. It isn't just about protein. It isn't just about muscle. It is about a system inside the human body that most people over 60 don't know is broken, and a food sitting in the dairy aisle of every grocery store that quietly begins to fix it. The year is 2024. The Mayo Clinic. Researchers release a report that most people never heard about, buried in clinical nutrition literature, never translated for the people it was actually meant to help. The report identifies Greek yogurt as one of the top foods for boosting leg power in seniors, not a supplement, not a prescription. Greek yogurt, available for under $2 a cup, sitting next to the regular yogurt that doesn't come close to doing the same job. Here is why the distinction matters. Greek yogurt contains 15 to 20 grams of high-quality protein per single serving. That is not an accident of manufacturing. It is the result of straining away the liquid whey during production, concentrating the protein content to levels that regular yogurt simply cannot match. For an adult over 60 who is fighting muscle loss, that protein density is not a convenience. It is a weapon. Dr. Robert Wolfe, one of the leading researchers in protein metabolism and aging, has said it plainly. Protein timing and quality matter more after 60 than at any other age. The window is narrower, the body's response is less forgiving, and the stakes are higher than most people realize. But here is where the story gets complicated, and where Greek yogurt separates itself from almost every other protein source available. The aging gut is not the same organ it was at 40. By the time a person reaches their 60s and 70s, the gut microbiome has shifted. Digestive enzyme production has declined. The efficiency of protein absorption, the actual percentage of dietary protein that makes it from the digestive tract into the bloodstream and then into muscle tissue, has dropped significantly. This is a problem that no amount of protein alone can solve. You can eat the right amount of protein and still not absorb enough of it to prevent muscle loss. The gut has become the bottleneck, and most people have no idea it's happening. They are eating carefully, reading labels, choosing the higher protein option at every meal, and still losing ground. Because the problem was never just what they were eating, it was what their body was managing to extract from what they ate. Greek yogurt addresses this directly, not just through its protein content, but through its probiotics. The live cultures in Greek yogurt, Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium strains, actively support gut microbiome health. A healthier gut lining means improved intestinal permeability. Improved permeability means more efficient absorption of amino acids, more amino acids reaching the muscle, more raw material available for repair and synthesis. The protein doesn't just need to be eaten, it needs to arrive. Greek yogurt helps it arrive. A 30 to 40% reduction in protein absorption efficiency is not uncommon in older adults. 30 to 40% on every meal. Every day, for years. The body receives the food, it processes the food, and then it fails to extract the full value. The math is brutal, the loss is invisible, and it compounds over time in exactly the same way that interest compounds, silently, relentlessly, until the total is staggering. And then there is casein. Most discussions of protein in muscle health focus on fast-digesting proteins, whey, eggs, lean meats, proteins that spike amino acid levels in the blood quickly and then fall away just as fast. Greek yogurt contains a significant proportion of casein protein. Casein is slow. It forms a gel in the stomach and releases amino acids gradually over 4 to 7 hours. This matters most at night. After 60, the body continues to break down muscle tissue during sleep. The overnight fast, 8 hours without food, creates a window where the muscles are being catabolized and nothing is arriving to stop it. A serving of Greek yogurt before bed changes that equation. The casein releases slowly through the night. The muscles receive a steady supply of amino acids during the hours when they are most vulnerable. The breakdown slows, the repair continues. By morning, the tissue that would have been lost is still there. That is not a small thing. Over weeks and months, it is the difference between a body that is holding ground and one that is quietly surrendering it. The combination is almost unreasonably effective. Probiotics improving absorption during the day, casein providing overnight muscle protection, 15 to 20 grams of high-quality protein per serving delivering the raw material for synthesis, and a 2024 Mayo Clinic report confirming measurable improvements in leg power in seniors who include it regularly. There is a catch, and it matters. Not all Greek yogurt is created equal. Full-fat or low-fat plain Greek yogurt, specifically the kind with live active cultures listed on the label, is the version that delivers all three benefits. Flavored varieties with added sugars can undermine the probiotic effect and add inflammatory compounds that work against the muscle-building goal. The label is the test. Live active cultures, minimal ingredients, high protein per serving. That is the product. Everything else is a compromise. 2 servings per day, 1 in the morning, 1 before bed, is the pattern that aligns with what the research supports. Morning protein for synthesis during the active hours. Evening casein for protection during the overnight fast. The body doesn't care about elegance. It cares about supply. The gut-muscle connection is one of the most underappreciated mechanisms in aging biology. It is the hidden variable that explains why 2 people can eat the same amount of protein and have completely different outcomes. One absorbs it efficiently, one doesn't. The difference is often the gut, and the gut can be supported, it can be improved, with something as simple and accessible as a cup of Greek yogurt. The reckoning, when it comes, is always the same. The people who waited for a prescription, the people who assumed muscle loss was inevitable, the people who walked past the dairy aisle without stopping, who grabbed the flavored cup because it looked close enough, who told themselves they would start paying attention next month. They all eventually faced the same question. What would have happened if they had known sooner? What would the stairs feel like now? What would the parking lot walk feel like? What would it mean to stand up from a chair without thinking about it? To push back from the dinner table and simply rise without calculating the angle, without reaching for the edge, without the half-second pause that has quietly become part of every movement. That pause is not inevitable. It is the product of years of a deficit that could have been addressed. And for the people who address it now, it is still reversible. The answer is sitting in the refrigerator. It has been the whole time. The body had been losing ground quietly, steadily, without announcement. Now it had a fighting chance. But the foods that protected the muscles from the inside, the protein, the probiotics, the slow-release amino acids, still needed something the gut and the cells couldn't manufacture alone. Something that reached the legs from the outside in, through the blood, through the vessels, through a molecule that the body produces from a leaf. Spinach feeds your legs through your blood vessels. Click the video on screen.